Stop perfecting your config. I feel like I rant on this all the time. You gotta know where good enough is. Like, I have some things that I consider good enough. One of the things that I really wanted to perfect was this one right here, which opens any folder anywhere of my predefined set of locations and then opens up a tmux thing right there. For me, this is something that I wanted to perfect because it's developer productivity, right? It allows me to go fast between things. Whereas just like making sure that I have the right font and stuff like that, I've literally never thought once about my font, nor do I know what my font is, nor am I going to know what my font is going to be. I've never thought about my terminal. I just use, Xterm 256 colors from the 1984 or whatever when it was written. I don't care about those things because I don't care about them. I just want tmux to work. I want i3 to work. I don't care about screen tearing. I'll fix it because I know you guys want screen tearing. I just use the defaults because I don't care. You know why? Because I want to just develop tools that make me productive and make me fast and make me amazing at developing. That is why I'm spending so much time creating the thing to be able to debug LSPs. You know why? Because this is what I might be doing for the next couple months at Netflix, so therefore I'm going to build tools to make me more productive. I like to build the effing pickaxe, okay? That's what I think is the most glorious thing in the universe to do. Build the pickaxes. Build the pickaxe that builds pickaxes, okay? Differential pickaxing. I love it. Okay, so now that I've just alienated half the audience and half of you hate me, let's read this. Are you one of those people who spend countless hours tinkering with your configuration for their editors, IDEs, terminals, or other applications? Do you find yourself spending more time on this and never-ending rabbit hole of micro configuration than on actual programming? If the answer is yes, as it was for me at some point, it's about time you stopped wasting your time. Love it. In this post, I will discuss potential reasons behind this behavior, offer some strategies to overcome it. What is this, AA? I have Tinkerers Anonymous. Hi, I was unable to hold down my job. My name is Bill. I couldn't stop tinkering with my config. What is this? And talk about some serious problems that it may lead to. I mean, if you tinker for longer than 4 hours, I hear you're supposed to call a doctor. Before I continue, let's make one thing clear. By no means am I saying that there is something wrong with trying to master your tools or attempting to adjust them to suit your specific needs. Absolutely, you should do this, always. It's actually the opposite. I think it's a great investment of your time that will make you more efficient and productive developer in the end. Absolutely. However, it's important to recognize when constant configuration becomes an obsession and a meaningless search for perfection that's impossible to achieve anyways. It's time to learn to accept the good enough and move on to a more meaningful things that will truly bring you closer to your goals. I actually really like this statement. That's why I actually time box it. About once a year for somewhere between 2 to 3 days, I try to redo my setup in a way that I really, really like. And then the things that I don't like, I'm going to be using Obsidian to like write them down. And then sometime later this year, I'm going to do another one of my sessions. You know why? Because that is like in my opinion, that's like the best way to do it. Because you should just sit down, have a concrete list of things you really, really hate. You make sure that they actually bother you, and then just do that. When's the next round? Probably a couple months. I usually like to do it like a good October time. I feel like October's a good time. I might wait till 2024 to really fix it. People are obsessed with configs. If you were to go on YouTube right now and find any video related to programming, I bet some top comments would be one of the following. What's your editor terminal that you use? What's the name of the color scheme in your font editor? Let's see. Do you have a link to your .files repository? By the way, to this day, I still think this is the funniest answer I ever saw on Twitter, and this was given in a non-ironic way. Just, I have a policy of not answering those. Sorry. Like, just literally said it. Unironic. Anyways, very often it seems people completely ignore the content of the video and simply come to the comment section and ask these questions. Why is that? Why are people so obsessed with these seemingly irrelevant details? People find things pretty. I mean, I get the pretty factor. You know, I get it. You know, that's why obviously I have a beautiful waifu in the background, that which has no life. And so clearly, one potential reason is that spending time configuring the environment makes people feel productive and can provide a sense of achievement. Fine. Yes, you aren't working with what you should be working on, or you aren't working on what you should be working on, but at least you are spending time with the tools you normally work with, so you don't feel guilty. That's fine. However, the harsh reality is that it's simply a way of procrastination. It's trickier to spot because it's not obvious as watching TV or playing video games, but the end result is the same. No work is being done. Yeah, I mean, I understand the argument here that you're making, but you gotta time box it and put some stuff on it. Tinkering with your environment, perfectly fine. Doing it every day, weird move. Being on the latest everything, weird move. Another reason is much more profound. In his excellent TED Talk called The Paradox of Choice, Barry Schwartz argues that all of the choice we have in today's world produces paralysis rather than liberation. With so many options to choose from, people find it very difficult to choose at all. He gave an example of a study on investments in voluntary retirement plans. What was found was that for every 10 mutual funds the employer offered, the rate of participation went down 2%. If you offered 50 funds, 10% fewer people participated than if you only offered 5. Why? Because 50 different options. It's so damn hard to decide which fund to choose that eventually people end up not choosing at all. Okay. Yeah, we can clearly see this phenomenon at play with highly customizable editors like NeoVim, where the customizations options are almost endless. I mean, it's the same thing. See, I mean, the reason why I don't like that argument is that it's the same thing with VS Code, right? You open up VS Code and no one uses default VS Code. Everyone customizes it, and then you start wanting to customize things, so you start having to do this progressive searching through JSON files to flip the right property on and off. It's all still the same thing. It's just, which one do you want to choose to do? And some are a little bit easier. VS Code is easier off the rip. Absolutely. 100%. 1,000%. But it's still, I still find at the end, when I want to make something customized for me, I still have the same problem. I have to search through JSON instead of programming Lua. It's like, which poison would you rather have? Right? There are so many plugins to install, so many options to explore, and so many color schemes and fonts to choose that people feel paralyzed and simply look for someone else to make that decision for them. This perfectly explains the flood of questions we see everywhere about people's setups. Okay, that's, I'd say, reasonable. I think the thing is that you have to have a concrete picture in your head of what's happening, and if you don't have this, like, concrete idea of what's happening, it feels like magic. And until you understand it, things feel magic, and magic is hard. And sometimes you just want the answer. You don't want to know how the sausage works, right? Another thing is that even if we manage to overcome the paralysis and finally make a choice, the fact that we had so many options to choose from makes us less satisfied with our choice than if we only had a handful of alternatives. Why? Because it's easy to imagine that we could have made different choices that would have been better. That imagination causes us to question the correctness of our choice. If you only had one option instead, there would be absolutely no overthinking. I mean, I think the Soviet Union agrees with this logic. I mean, part of me likes the choices, you know? I totally get this, but at the same time, I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like, I like choices. And that's why I time box it, right? Again, I said this like 9 times. Just wait till you're so frustrated with something. Wait till you have like a defined set of goals. Achieve goals. Move on, right? Once again, we can transfer that observation to our domain. The fact that we have so many customization options for our work environment makes some of us feel that we have the right, and what we have right now is not enough. And there awaits a perfect key map or color scheme right around the corner that will make our setup perfect. It's easy to imagine that if we just had a different terminal setup or a different IDE, we would become a much better programmers. Right? You won't be. Time in the saddle. You know what I mean? Time in the saddle and you will get there. Anything else, you're lying to yourself. But I will say customization and learning how something works will allow you to see programs larger. Sucks to suck? Absolutely. But that's why I don't want to bag on it completely, which is customizing and building things does allow you to see things in a bigger, more complete way, which makes software less magical, which makes you more effective. So you got to know the bounds here. Now that we know some potential reasons why people spend so much time on configuration, let's talk about what we can do about it. I think there's a whole group that he just straight up missed, which is people just like it, and they just want to try to do different things. They like experimenting. It's just simply fun for them. You know, not all video games are an escape from reality. Some video games are just because you want to have a little time off and enjoy something that's different. That's cool too. You know, that can be okay too. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Now that we know let's see. The first and most important step is to realizing that a perfect setup doesn't exist and will never be achieved. Exactly. Just like marriage does not make you happy. Finding the right, I know because I know a lot of you are Arch users, so you've never even talked to a girl, but talking to a girl doesn't make you happy, right? That's not how happiness works. Sorry, I hate to be that person, but there's not some future state in which you're happy, right? If you're not happy now, you're not happy then. If your setup isn't perfect now, making some changes to it ain't gonna make it perfect later. Like, I hate the doing this. You know what I mean? I hate it. Sorry. The realization itself might be very liberating and freeing from us from perfectionism, which is an enemy of progress. Yeah, absolutely. As an example, learning to accept the good enough allowed me to set up this blog from scratch 1 year ago in a single evening. I used free theme created by someone else. It was far from perfect, and there were things I didn't like. Also, I didn't have a comment section or any other way for people to engage with my content, but I was completely fine with that since my goal was to start writing and not tinkering with yet another configuration. So I resisted that urge. Awesome, yeah. However, if that little mindset shift is not enough for you, it might make sense to introduce some small rules for yourself. I was suggesting following the Primage's advice. Let's go. Get him. On approaching your configuration. He recommends visiting your configuration only once every couple months. I tend to do a couple months or a year. I time box it again, which I think is a very healthy and sustainable approach. In the meantime, take a mental note of things that are annoying and slowing you down so that you can address them when the time to overhaul comes. I love this. Always group your activities. Beautiful. That was sweet, by the way. That was sweet having a little shout out. Many appreciations, buddy. On the other hand, if your goal is to start with an editor like NeilVim, don't bother initially trying to set up everything on your own. Just copy a config from someone you follow that uses NeilVim. I think TJ's Kickstarter is beautiful. Beautiful place to start. Or just start with a really cool project like Kickstarter. I got him. That will allow you to start using the editor as soon as possible so that you can see whether it's something for you or not. And then after some time, you'll know which things need to be adjusted. This is actually great, spot on advice. Wait for the frustration. I feel like I've said this a million times. Wait for the frustration. Don't try to dream of something better. Wait till you go, okay, I really hate what's happening here. Then come up with an idea that is how you fix the thing. And then have like a set of things you want to fix and do them all at once. It's fantastic. Stay away if you're a beginner. I'd argue that the consequence of perfectionism can be more severe if you're just starting out in programming. Reasonable. That's actually pretty reasonable. If that's the case, stay away from all that as long as possible. Your goal is to learn programming, so focus on that. Learn the fundamentals first. The time to learn and configure tools will come eventually, but this is definitely not the right time yet. I still think Vim motions are good to learn as soon as possible. If you try to do everything at once, you will be frustrated and overwhelmed. That may ultimately cause you to give up programming entirely. Free. Yeah, good advice. The urge might be really strong because being able to engage in online discussions about editors, IDEs, and terminal setups, which, by the way, I don't do that, or understand memes, I do that, can give you a sense of belonging to the programmers community. But please, don't do these shiny things. But please, don't let these shiny things distract you from the real goal, which is to learn how to program. Absolutely. This is one reason why I really loved college, is that it was just like a series of harder and harder problems and bigger projects. Just force you into just building things on a regular basis. And my teachers even said, if you want to be successful and you want to pass these classes, you better build more than what I tell you to build in these classes. That's just that. You better be doing a lot more. And that's that. It was really good for me. Honestly, it's actually like, without Ray Babcock telling me that, I don't think I would have done it right away, right? I needed someone to be like, trust me, this is the secret. It's not just about configs. Honestly, it'd be great if all of this was only about tinkering with our configuration. At the end of the day, who cares that some of us might spend a couple hours every single day searching for the perfect color scheme for our NeilVim setup? Unfortunately, the problem with striving for perfectionism is that it can manifest itself in other much more significant aspects of our lives. For instance, not realizing that perfect doesn't exist can make you feel dissatisfied with your current partner, the place where you live, or the job you have. Based take right there. That's a great take. Great take. This can also mean that you may end up waiting for the perfect moment in your life to start chasing your goals, which will obviously never come. Great take. This is a great take. If the argument presented in the previous sections weren't convincing, though, let this motivate you to fix your obsession with configuration because, as you can see, your overall well-being is at stake. Summary. I hope you found this post useful. I wrote it as much for you as for myself, to constantly remind myself that striking a balance between spending time on customization and actual coding is essential. And again, I mentioned multiple times throughout this post, remember, it's not merely about configs to the end. Thank you. Subscribe to his newsletter. Where's your Twitter link, dog? Do you have a little Twitter link? Hi. Oh, yeah, there you go. check out the Twitters. Hey, follow you right back. Really appreciate it. That was a great article, well thought through, really, really good. Oh, I didn't realize this just came out. Oh, I didn't even get this notification. Sorry, I get like 1 kajillion notifications. I don't know. It just does this, and then it just keeps on happening. And then people send me this, and then I go, I can't. Oh, hey, this is my Dicked Bites. You know, I'm glad. Oh gosh, why are people talking about how I got my Stack Overflow question? The best way to measure your Dicked Bites. Something big dropping over the next few days. Now, this is how you properly meme people. Okay? This is how you do it. Okay? I want everyone to take note that there's so many people that are like, oh, TS sucks. Got him. Ha! No. This is it. Okay? This is the way you do it. Make it hilarious. How big is it? Can we measure it without spoiling? Oh, shoot. Okay, there was something I really wanted to say, and now I've completely forgotten. There's something really, really important. Okay, so let me tell you about how much I take my mentality that he just mentioned, like, to a T. In my previous world, I could be on a word like this and hit leader PW. And what it would do is it would actually do a, what's it called? It would actually do a project search for the word underneath my cursor. And I could also do leader P capital W, which would do a project search with a capital W search. So it would actually go through all the periods. So if I did that, so just to show you the difference between those two. So if I do VI capital W, it highlights the whole thing. Or if I do VIW, it only highlights that. So I'd search the project for that thing underneath my cursor. I currently don't have that implemented in my current round because I forgot to do it. I've had this same dot files for 8 months now. I simply refuse to edit my dot files unless if it's a complete blocker. Think about that. Like, I really do take that don't configure until you really have a strong reason to configure to the absolute maximum. I know, it's ridiculous, but that's how I avoid it because you know why? I'm a configuration Andy if I don't. I got to be super important. Oh, this is exciting. This is TJ. I think the article missed the fact that some people learn from a lot from tinkering with stuff. Yeah, I feel like I emphasized this. Maybe not stuff like color schemes, absolutely. But that could ignite a passion for coding, which is what happened to me. Absolutely. I think this is where some people's 0 is, right? Oh, sorry. We're Lua around here. This is where some people's 1 is. You know what I mean? This is where their first step is. I would not be a software developer I am without my random tangents into the NeoVim coding, which was basically my first real coding stuff I did. I did it while I was still in school with very, very little programming experience at the time. This is actually a really good thing. I think TJ hits on a good point, which is there's also a place in your life where it makes more sense to dive into things in more complete nature. And a place in your life where it's less time to do that. Like TJ, when you're in school, your life commitments are just way less, right? You have way more time to do a lot of things. And so spending an evening just configuring, is that okay at that point? Why not? If it makes you passionate, why not? But if you just got done having a kid and you want to go spend days and you also have a full-time job, maybe not the best time to be doing these things. Maybe that's where my approach, where I set aside specific time for it, makes sense. And so I do think that there's definitely a balance there. And I definitely think that there's something really true. True, kids are hard. Fatherhood confirmed 2023. Low-level baby making. 3 kids, full-time job, 3 side projects, cottage restoration, home renovation. Exactly. So I think this is actually really, 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 really awesome. I love the take, TJ. I think you're 110% correct, which is at the end of the day, and I know I didn't emphasize this well, whatever sparks your passion to keep learning is more important than doing the right thing, especially during the learning phase. Right? Like if you should go through the data structure and algorithms class, and you absolutely should, but you had this great idea from watching the first one where you could go and build something that you thought was really, really cool, shut the data structures and algorithms course down and build that cool thing. 100%. Go all in on it and do it because it sparked and made you excited. Follow the excitement because it's going to get you through everything, because there's also going to be hour after hour after hour of just horrible errors and things that are just feel unovercomable. And it's the joy, it's the passion, it's the excitement that gets you through that and truly makes you into a good engineer, truly makes you into a great engineer. You know what I mean? The name is I think TJ has a lot of really good ideas, Jen.